Hello, I guess YouTube world. Their Facebook, their Facebook, Instagram, and every other world is coming to life. It's a
Right,
Monday.
slowly. Yeah,
What
let's
can
go
I
ahead
say?
and get Instagram going. Happy Monday, Becky.
Happy Monday. It has been a long day, I guess. Oh,
We had some
YouTube.
rain.
We did. Yeah. It ended woke me up through the night because it hit here, I don't know, middle of the night and was pretty intense. So lack of sleep for sure, but that's all right. And then I worked all day. So, such is life.
Right? I don't know why my Instagram does that, but
Just
I swear to you that it freezes until I refresh. Isn't that weird? Anyway, technical difficulties as always. It wouldn't be a Monday without something, right?
right.
So how was your weekend?
The weekend was good. Um, we didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I went, ran errands, spent some time with my daughter, getting, things done, spending a us day. We went out for lunch, and uh, then my sister-in-law and brother-in-law come over and joined us for supper Saturday evening. Sunday was pretty simple, and of course, what day would it end up and be if I didn't say publicly happy birthday to my son? Today is my son's birthday.
Happy birthday,
Um,
Becky's son.
yeah, my youngest boy, it's his birthday. So he turned 20 today. So he's out on his own, which again, this is, navigating that world of it's his birthday and he's on his, he has his house. He's,
Yep.
growing, and so I cherish the moments that we end up when we have with, him here, whether that's just him popping in for work lunch, for 30 minutes or whatever. um but yeah, it's his birthday, and now he's navigating the world of spending that with friends and doing what he enjoys. So it's one of those things,
Right.
but
I love it.
it is
Happy
his
birthday,
birthday, so
Becky's son. 20 years ago, we know where you were at.
right.
Yeah, in the
Yep.
hospital. Yeah.
Yep, he was born at 10 minutes till 10 on the 30th, so
At night or in the
in the morning.
morning?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, now we know. Very good. And
Fun
don't
fact.
you? Well, I know. And I was thinking about that because uh the folks from Power Fit Foods,
Mhm.
that we
Allison.
both, Allison, Matt and Allison, they just had a baby yesterday
Yesterday,
or day
I think
before.
so.
Yeah, yeah. So they just had a little boy, and I just, it's like I wish I knew way back, right, 30 some years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter, some of the healthy habits that I have incorporated in, and how that would have changed the tone on so much. But alas, um, I wouldn't have the journey I would have. So I'm grateful for that journey. But I see where people are joining over. They're popping in because we have. Um, I titled our podcast tonight "Exciting News." This announcement might just change everything, and we've been kind of busy behind the scenes on what's going on. And but yeah, it's kind of it goes along with what I wish I'd known then that I know now, kind of thing. And oh, by the way, I see you added more stuff to your wall behind you. Looks very
I
nice.
did. I did. The office is coming along, and yes, we have been little busy bees, the three of us, because I know Sly's in the comments. We should have had her on tonight,
Right?
and did the roundtable for this announcement. But um, yeah, we definitely have been busy, and just like anything, there's some ups, there's some downs, and throughout this, I'm trying to not give it all away right away, right?
I know, right? Yeah.
Um, Throughout this announcement, there's been things that have been reflected back on, just like, I reflect back on the moments that I get to share with my son now that he's, out on his own, and those, the reflection back on the community, the reflection back on the people of Beyond Nutrition, the coaches that have come along with me, stayed with me, helped me build what we end up when we have today. I am very grateful. The community itself, um, again, we wouldn't be where we are today without the community. Um, and I did not end up and tell you that I was going to go into this, but we've had
Oh.
a member that has passed.
Hmm.
Um, I reflected on the years that I have known her, and throughout that time, um, there's been amazing bonds and friendships that have grown. There has been encouragement from behind the scenes, and with that has come new growth into what we currently know.
Yeah. This member, um, she was a cheerleader. She was Becky's cheerleader a lot longer than even I knew her. I had the privilege of meeting her at Hack Your Health last year. And along with some of the people that are probably tuning in, got to meet her as well. But sadly, she passed away, and it was we 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 had a heads up. We knew it was coming. Becky was able to talk to her about a week before she did pass, and which was good. It gave some closure. But we're sad. We're going to miss her greatly. But through that, right? And she was so inspiring to you, Becky. I mean, you coached her, but in reality, I think she coached you.
She did, yeah, she did, and she was always that person that was just encouraging. Is not the strong enough word, right?
Mm-mm,
She was the
mm-hmm,
person that was always behind me, that was telling me to help the people, right? You end up and
yes.
you have the knowledge, you have the education, you have the passion. um she would always say, I wish there was a way that you could end up and get the voice out there to help the people, right? She was with me in other communities,
Mm-hmm,
or other community. It was more of a nutritional space, but my she was my little psychic. But I didn't just get to know her. I got to know her family. I got
mm-hmm.
to really end up and bond and know and be able to kind of create and found this passion through others. I mean, it was like this ripple effect, and that's why, if anyone that is watching this, of course, I know you're over here on Instagram as well. You've seen my post where I've started to share that something's been growing on my heart for a long time. When I reflect back and we look to creating something, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna pause you right there for a
Mhm.
second. So this goes back, I don't know. Sly can put in, Coach Sly, she can put in the chat how long we've been trying to figure out what we can do different when it came to the BNC community, along with each one of us as coaches. And I think, what was it Sly said? Let's create a scandal one.
right?
And I was
You
like,
know.
we were like, no, no scandals, lie, you know. Um,
Mm.
she was joking. She she was joking, ish. Yeah, many moons ago, she put in the chat that we s- we've been talking about this, right? And so, um, yeah, this has been on our heart for a long time. Most specifically, your heart, right? Because you are the BNC community. You're the one that started it. So, you know, you brought me in, you brought Sly in. We're grateful for that. But go ahead and talk a little bit more about, let's go back for a moment. Let's go back and talk about why did you even start the BNC community?
Well, so as part of my journey, I was in another nutritional community. Um, of course, I kind of helped with. I was the behind the scenes person of building that from the ground up, if you will. And my passion was always in the community side of that platform. Um, I knew that connecting, resonating, hearing, right? Because it's not just ours, but when we can end up and hear what other people are going through, or, it's not always about speaking in the meeting and leading the meeting, but what can we end up and gain from listening, right? Because there's so many different aspects or different ways that the journey can be done. And so I was in this community, again, solely nutrition based. um we we grew the community. The community was doing amazing. We had multiple meetings a week, very supportive people. But then and we also had coaching on that platform,
Hmm.
but then they ended up and they took it away. Throughout that time, when I didn't happen to find an additional community that was, again, a little bit of a pivot on the nutrition space. It wasn't quite so much elimination, but it was another nutritional space. And that space, again, was super supportive, had this connection with the people. Um, but I still felt like, for me personally, as someone that wasn't fully getting healthy, right? I wasn't able to end up and heal my body. I wasn't able to balance hormones. And by that, I mean anything from cortisol to leptin to insulin. Because obviously I had a hysterectomy at 29, right? Yes, the adrenals are a secondary, and I'm not going to go into that whole side of things. But I wasn't able to fully reclaim everything and say everything is, in remission, and this is the end all be all. I had to go beyond just those nutritional spaces. But I knew that community, right? That community is what needed to help the people. I
Hmm.
had to form, because eventually the full elimination community basically resolved or dissolved, I should say, and went away. So those people were lost, right? How do you end up and navigate this without a community to stand behind, where there's no support, there's no education? The, it kind of is the same as what your community, right? All those people that were in this dissolved community, all they had was either social media connection or Google. And and that's hard. It's You try to end up and navigate that, but it gets very muddy waters in regards of, you know, do you restrict more? Do you end up and buy keto products? Do you end up and push harder and start doing, it's very hard. And so in 23, 22, it was LLC in 23, but in 2021, 22, I created the Beyond Nutrition.
Mhm.
because I wanted to go beyond just dietary. I wanted to be able to help the people, support the people that have always been told, restrict more, push harder, don't consume that, or when really all that they end up need is to be supported and find this rhythm of their life, and to be able to connect on that front. And sure, we end up when we do things differently, right? We don't have a set, you must do it this way to be part of our community, because I didn't want that dogma. I didn't
Right.
want to be dogmatic. I wanted everyone to be inclusive. Obviously, no fighting, bullying, and that side of it, right? But I wanted people to know that they shouldn't have to fight through barriers to find health and find a community. That they just needed, they deserve a space where healing feels supportive. They can feel empowered, but it also comes naturally. And
Yeah.
that was the beautiful thing of creating uh, the Beyond Nutrition community and getting together when we did it in Austin. It was all natural. It was like what
Yeah.
we have formed, online in meetings, we took to real life and picked up right where we were.
Right.
It was like nothing changed. That is what I ended up and I wanted. I wanted that form of a community.
Right. And I remember, gosh, I remember back when you hadn't fully turned it into a company, right? But you were having what was it, a one meeting a week?
Mm-hmm.
Was that right? Yeah, I remember that. You and I were in another platform at the time, and kind of that platform cemented our friendship, actually. But I do remember when you have that. At that moment, I didn't choose to attend those meetings. I was attending the other meetings, but yeah. And that's the year, what was that, 3 years ago? 3 years
Mm-hmm.
ago. 3 years ago. Oh my goodness. I went to Hack Your Health, and it dawned on me that I had a story to tell. And I had a very difficult journey. I wasn't healing, nothing was progressing. And I was flat out ashamed at what I looked like, and why was everybody else getting results and I wasn't. And I remember, like, the morning we drove to Hack Your Health, um, I was ready to tell my husband to turn the truck around and go home because I didn't want anybody to see me.
Mm-hmm.
But I went, and people were very supportive and very nice to me. And I realized at that time that I'm not the only person who is struggling for every morsel, for lack of a better word,
Mm-hmm.
to heal. And that was frustrating. Back 4 years ago when I started this journey, it was Dr. Google and dirty keto. I didn't have anything else left to try, right? I had tried everything. And then I got into this group, and that's where you and I met. And I think really when I got on your radar, Becky, was my mental breakdown in one of the meetings, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I can
Well,
tell
and
my,
that's where I knew how much you were struggling, right?
yeah,
You were I always talk about how people end up and have a rock bottom.
hmm,
And that's where, having a community and having support is to help people before
right,
they get to that breakdown point.
right. Yeah. And it was a dietary group, and what I didn't know was I needed Beyond,
Hmm.
but I was gonna fast learn it, let me tell you.
Well, and anyone that is watching this live that
Yeah.
knows what community we're talking about, feel free to put it in the chat. The fact of, how many meetings did we have? We had one specific weekly meeting that I would go beyond. Right, I had
Mhm.
done also masterclass. I mean, those poor dear souls, they sat through a 2.5 hour masterclass talking
Yeah.
about nothing but the beyonds, right? And that, I think, opened a lot of eyes as far as looking to other avenues of healing,
Yeah.
right? That we are a whole body. It's not just the food.
Right.
And that's where everything has to go into place, because it's a wellness, a whole body wellness, not just looking, what's on my plate. We have to get
Right.
beyond the my plate and all those food pyramid and all of that in order
Right.
to get rhythm.
I remember the light bulb moments. I mean, and gosh bless you, Becky. I mean, it would be like, wait a minute, hold on a second, repeat that
Hmm.
again.
Hmm.
And you would. And then the next meeting, what, wait a minute, Becky, go back again and repeat that again. And I can't tell you how many times you repeated it again and again, because the light bulbs were starting to click, right? It was starting to it was like, oh my goodness, now that kind of makes sense. Now wait a minute, what do you mean we go outside barefoot and walk around? Like what? And oh, and I I still to this day talk about the first time, and I don't have them here, I have them beside my bed, but the blue blocking glasses, right? But I had
Hmm.
gotten, what color did I get? Was it the red?
You got the red ones first, yeah.
The red ones first. And this is after a lot of talking, that Becky had to repeat. And I got them. And I was the person that it would be 1 o'clock in the morning before I finally fall asleep, right? Anybody put in the chat if you can relate to that. It's like your mind can't shut down. And why is my mind not shutting down? And why can't I get some sleep? And oh my gosh, I'm so tired and I'm tired of being tired. And how can people and everywhere, every influencer and every space and every, oh, you got to get sleep. And it's like, you wanted to say, get out of here. Don't talk to me because I'm trying to get sleep, but I don't know how to get sleep because my mind isn't shutting down. It's 1 o'clock. It's 1:30 in the morning. And so you got you said, "Sherry, order these red lens." Not these, but, and I did. And I got them in, and I think it was like an hour before I went to bed that night, I put them on, and it felt like somebody just enveloped my body, and I felt this, almost like this thud, for
Hmm.
lack of a better word, and it was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm tired. What is this strange feeling?" Right?
Hmm.
That goes way back. I mean, this goes way, way back. Now I'm imparting the wisdom onto my clients, and so forth. But, you and I were talking before we started how our journeys have shaped us, and how the dietary strictness,
Hmm.
militant, and I'm the first one to raise my hand and go, I'm a militant. I didn't cheat. I tracked. I fasted. I gained weight, and I was it wasn't working, and so I would do it harder, and it wasn't working, and we created then the podcast, right? The
Hmm.
Healing the Whole Body podcast, because you and I wanted to reach out to people, get our message out that healing takes place with the whole body and not just what you're consuming, right? So that's kind of my take on things of where we kind of how we've weaved in and out of this beautiful healing journey that we've both been on.
The birth of the platforms of what we created. It's not just
Hmm.
one space, but we end up when we have these different extensions, right? When we talk about the root of healing, right, or the tree, right, we have different branches that we are all on. Um, doesn't mean that we're not all rooted in the same goal or the same thing. Um, and that's kind of where leading up to this big announcement, friends.
I
So
know.
stay here. Um, we're all rooted in health, right? And what that ends up and looks like. And we may be on different branches, we may be on different things, but what we are looking at creating is a space to provide everyone the opportunity to be able to join. Everyone to, jump on that tree no matter what branch you're on, no matter what um, barrier you formerly had in place. And that's why we ended up we put our heads together. We didn't necessarily want to
Right.
change the name, right? We didn't want to pivot. We just wanted to create a new extension. We wanted to create a new chapter. We wanted to create a new way to support your healing journey, meaning everyone that is watching, everyone that is over here on Instagram, every one of you that is on YouTube and on Facebook and on I Twitch and anywhere in between. We wanted to end up and create this space. And so this space was born, which is the Beyond Nutrition Collective. The
Hmm.
collective is the new space. And get this, we are introducing it, and it will be the brand new space with a free membership. Everyone has the opportunity to end up and join us. This is 100% free. It will not end up and get a price tag put on it. This is your opportunity to open that door and find a community on the other side. We are not looking to give it away for 30 days. We're not looking at giving it away for a year. This is not a program that or method that I know of anyone out there necessarily doing. We want you to be able to move that needle. We want you to have the access to people that get you. We want you to have access to those foundational practices and hear people talking, not just myself, not just Sherri, not just Sly, not just doing, but participating. We want you to join us in weekly meetings. We want you to be there for various health topics, even if that's the community led social, and you just want to pop in and say hello. We would gladly say hello. But we also invite you to join us for our other topic led meetings. We all end up and do one. I have one that typically follows this. Sly has one on Tuesday. Sherri has one on Friday. We have several throughout the week. We want you to find your space. Doesn't
Well,
mean, go ahead.
I was going to say healing isn't reserved for the privilege. By making the Beyond Nutrition Collective free, we're removing barriers and extending the invitation to everyone. There's no price tag, there's no pressure. It's just pure presence, right? Because a free space invites new perspective, new energy, new voices. The open doors are more magnetic for the growth, for that individual and for the whole, the collective, right? And we want you to know you belong here. Free is not about a lesser value. It's about more connection, more hearts linked, more stories shared, more lives changed without the velvet rope.
Hmm. Yep. Without that overwhelm of price tag.
Yep.
And I've heard it time and time again, right? Where people will go kicking and screaming and they don't want to leave. But when it comes down to the choice of, do I buy food for my table, or do I end up
Hmm.
and pay for a group, right? Do
Hmm.
I pay for, my gas in my car, or do I end up, and people are having to make some of those hard life
Yeah.
decisions,
Yes.
and they're just starting to end up and feel isolated.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, your because you're healing, it shouldn't be delayed by money. It shouldn't be delayed by time. And we're definitely not looking for people to be perfect, right?
Right.
We we leave the dogma at the door, right? We're not gonna come in and tell you that, you've only got to eat
Right.
um certain things. Hey, if it works for you and you feel great, awesome. If you're not feeling great, well, maybe, you need to end up and look at, how'd you sleep last night, right? That will be one of my first questions is, how did you sleep? What are you, doing as far as parasympathetic work, right? There's these other avenues, and that's where, so for those that do know, I did end up and put a link in the chat. But for those that know the community the way it was before, let's end up and compare the two, right? Why would I take a community that someone was paying for and something that was monetized and create it for free? Because we can open that door, we can extend that hand to end up and help you. We are offering in the free meetings, your weekly meetings. You are getting the weekly meetings free. You are getting any weekly challenges that we end up and do. We've done several. We've done anywhere from, I have the community actually pulled up here as well. We've done different challenges from breathwork. We've done challenges in regards of decluttering. We've done challenges. Right now we have the Better Than Yesterday challenge, which is, simply just doing some of the foundational work. We've done a mindfulness challenge, which is practice of purposely bringing, your attention. We did a CO2 tolerance challenge. So, I mean, we've done several different challenges. Those type of weekly challenges are free.
Hmm.
Uh, those will never end up and be a charge. That is just part of the community. You will also get daily check-ins, daily education, a daily post, because we end up when we have a forum. So you can end up, if you have questions, you have a feed that you can end up post any questions or checking in, saying hello. It doesn't have to be specific to anything. So all of that is in there, and you will also get that supportive space rooted in circadian rhythm, rooted in whole body healing. That is your first stop, right? Because that supportive space that is going to look at the body as a whole, not just as the food. We don't have rules, we don't have guidelines as far as, like I said, the nutrition, but that is the free aspect. So everything that is in the community, from like I said, the forum, the weekly challenges, the meetups. Now, the premium tier, as as we end up when we call it, or the paid membership, that is where, when we do things like the 12-week seasonal challenge, such as this last winter, we did the meat fat ferment challenge.
Yeah.
That will end up, we've also done fat fast before as well. Those 12-week challenges that are part of the community will end up and be free under the paid membership. You're free people, you will end up, and if you choose to join in that is 100% optional to you. You don't have to join us in those challenges, but if you do, the paid membership, get it free membership. It is a cost, a low charge cost for
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
um, the Q and A's, that when we have people come on the podcast, we do it through StreamYard. You will be in the what we call the back office or the back room. Uh, After we cut the live, we do Q&A time. We did it with Sean O'Mara. We've done it with Dr. Paul. Paul's been on a couple times. We've done it with Stephen Hussey. We've had several VIPs that we've done the Q&As. You will have the opportunity to join in there free. That will not be an additional charge. That will be free. You can ask your questions direct and get answers from any of our VIPs, and have that group coaching aspect when we have those on. Um, you will also get downloadable PDFs, trackers like this Better Than Yesterday summer challenge that we did. We had a PDF tracker.
Mhm.
You will get those free. That will end up become free. We will also end up, you will get early access. So each of us, each of us coaches do have workshops, products, guides, those type of things in the work independent of the community. And that will end up, you'll have early access to those before the public ever does, before social media ever does. Um, you will have, as a paying member, you will have access to those. And then you will also get the check-ins and that side of things. And it'll be more personalized because we will also do a weekly check-in during like the challenges. So any of those challenges that I just said you end up and get free, all three of us coaches will end up and be in a meeting, and you'll get personalized coaching from us during those. So that is the difference between a paid membership and a free tier membership, because again, we're just looking at creating this movement to meet you where you are, to meet you at the level of support that you need.
Mhm.
Uh, and it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to cost a fortune, right? No cost,
Right.
no pressure to end up and be in the collective.
Right.
It's a
Right.
100% your choice to go deeper or go to the premium.
Well, what was it? It was what, last week? I was doing some research and I said, "Oh, had you heard of this person?" And you had said no, and I was like, "They're charging like, what was it, 590 some dollars for a program."
Yeah.
And we both said, "I'm not paying for that." Like, first of all, I value my marriage, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. That wouldn't bode well with the man sitting behind me in the chair if I paid out $600 for a program, right? And like you said, if it's the difference between putting food on my table or joining meetings and being in a community group setting, I'm gonna put food on my table, but I'm also knowing full well that I'm gonna struggle. And I did do that, right? We both have done that. We see our clients do that. We see it way too much. And I think that was when you broached this with me, I at first laughed, and then I realized, well, wait a minute, this is cool. Like, oh my goodness. Um, Now, if you could be the person that's like, well, I ain't got time for your meetings, then maybe this isn't right for you. But we offer we offer a lot of meetings that you're getting for free. That's not part of the paid tier. We're allowing that tier to get the same access to those meetings. One of the things we have daily is a social, meaning no coach. Yeah, us coaches pop in there, right? But it's a community. It's like going for coffee and sitting at a table and chatting with your friends. And we have listened to all kinds of conversation that has absolutely nothing to do with healing the body. It has everything to do with AI or
Yeah.
what what else
The
have we?
the conversation sometimes in that daily social can end up, I mean, it's just like you said, meeting for coffee and you know talking with your friends, right? So I see the messages Instagram, I see the messages over here on YouTube. There's several that are asking in regards to the free membership. So there's two different ways. I've shared this is how much I end up and want to end up and get the message out.
Yeah,
I made two different ways. It's not just, click this special link. I made it two different ways. So there is the link that I shared. The other way to end up and go about it is going to be bncommunity.com. There is a big red button at the top of the page. If you're looking at it on a mobile or you're looking at it on something that, creates the little hamburger, click on it. You will end up and see where it says join the BNC community, a button that says join now. Click that. Yes, that link to that checkout page will end up and be the BNC community page. In the coupon code, put in free, FREE, for those that are listening when this gets uploaded to Apple and all the other streaming platforms. FREE will end up and give 100% off of that. And you will see under the discount, it says 100% off forever. Again, this is not just a 3-month, join us now, get it 3 months free. Join us now, get 6 months free. This is join now and you're signing up for nothing. Create your login information, your email address, your name, all of that, and then it will say complete purchase. That is going to end up and take you, it'll send you an email with your login to your library and all of that, where you will see the community. If you have any issues, feel free to end up and email me. But that is one way to do it. The other way to do it is to click the link that I have shared in the multiple chats and comments and sections. You see the banner running across the screen with the link as well. So Lisa, I appreciate that. You have the option. Nothing will end up and change. For those that are on the paid membership currently, nothing will end up and change. You will be in that. I'll pull it back up. So if you are joined in the BNC currently, your membership will roll over in the paid membership. So you will still end up and get everything in the free tier. You will end up and get everything in the paid membership. You will have the paid membership unless you let me know. If you let me know and say there's no questions asked, if you were in the group today, you know that because there was a post that went out today. You got notified before we ended up and brought it here. Public will not end up and get an email or post until tomorrow. But if you are a current paying member, you've helped build this movement, We appreciate your support. You've made this possible. But if you choose to switch at any time, no questions, no pressure, just end up, the information is in there, how to message me direct or how to end up and email me. I will make that transition seamless for you. And again, no questions. Because this community is rooted in rhythms, not rules, not hoops to jump through, not complicated process to end up and get it done. So again, I want to see progress. I want to see help. I want to see the community thriving and moving forward. So yeah, we are reducing those barriers for you.
That's right. And again, you are not coming into a community that is dogmatic about the way you're eating. Um, if you have fallen off the wagon and you're totally, having a complete, I'm putting everything in my mouth that I can see, we're gonna love on you. It's okay, right? Um, we want you here with us. We are not going to point fingers and go, you should be eating this way. Shame, shame. You'll never hear that from any of us. Even the members, you will never hear that from. Um, I think all of our members, including us coaches, I think we all eat a little different. Right? Like, we've talked about this at nauseum during our podcast, but what works for my body, it would not work for Becky's body. And we know that that's not working for your body. But there's a whole nother beyond that you probably just have not tapped into and don't understand. Well, okay, so let's talk about, Becky, what are the meetings? Bring the meetings up. Bring them up. You got them up, Becky? Let's
I
talk
do have them.
about. Okay, so on Monday, we wake up, and what is the first meeting that hits Monday?
The first meeting that hits Monday is going to end up and be the social,
Yep.
because that's pretty much one of our first meetings every day. The other thing about this, I'm going to end up in pause. The other reason why we're knocking down the barrier is we do have people in other countries. We
Yeah.
have people that are getting, the conversion rate is astronomical right now. So our dear friends in Canada, our dear friends in the UK, our dear friends in Australia, this is the option to end up and be able to make that affordable for you as well. But with that being said, as we end up and we grow, these are just the start of our meetings, because I understand the fact that some of our meetings are in the middle of the night for Australia or the UK.
Right.
So again, I understand this. Um, with that being said, as we end up and we grow, as we get those members, the meetings will end up and potentially get added to. We are open to the fact, if you want a meeting at, we'll say 2 o'clock in the UK and it's 3 a.m. here in the middle of the United States, I'm okay with that. I can create additional meetups or meetings as needed. So if you look at the meetups, which are technically the meetings, so I know nowadays that gets a little bit confusing because there are so many in-person meetups, but the meetups, every day starts basically with a social. Monday is also the Eat Fat and Thrive. That is, any form of animal fats, fruit fats, whatever fats, because we do end up and understand the fact of how cholesterol plays a role on our body and how that ends up and makes a difference. After that, we end up and we have the podcast first, and then we end up and we have a nutrition meeting following that, which is typically 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Central, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern time. Tuesdays, we end up and we have
The social again.
Yeah, I lost my list here.
Oh, that's
Uh,
okay. I'll help you.
t- Tuesdays we have the community social again, and then following that we have a fasting meeting. Now there are so many different methodologies of fasting, from intermittent fasting to fat fasting to alternate day fasting to 3 days and beyond. We have a member that also does dry fasting. Doesn't mean that everyone has to fast or that we end up we push it. I was a big proponent of just circadian fasting, right? Eating when the sun comes up and stopping eating when the sun goes down. Um, and then after that, we start the evening off with Coach Sly. She has her mental health and addiction recovery meeting. So Coach Sly ends up and goes into how the body can be supported from a mental health and from the addiction recovery side. She's great with that meeting. Um, Again, Wednesday we end up and we have the uh, social meeting, but then we have the lunar bites. So that is one that I will eventually create a whole program around. But our
Hmm.
body and how we look at it from not only a seasonal standpoint, but how we look at it from a lunar aspect and sync with the moons. So that is on Wednesdays, along with a breath work and meditation meeting. Again, parasympathetic work is so important to not only just women, but also to men. As we burn the candle at both ends and we stress ourselves out, it is important to know how to go about and work on that side as well, or even just take a minute to do a little, present breath breathing. You've seen how breath work will end up and impact glucose, and it'll drive that down. Following that is the intuitive steps. So when I talk about intuitive steps, I am talking about all the things intuitive, right? Nature provided. So I'm not gonna in any of these meetings, I'm not gonna tell you you've got to, buy a bunch of gadgets and gizmos and pills, potions, products, anything along those lines. I'm going in the intuitive step to give you the natural way to do it. So go outside and go grounding. Go outside at sunrise and get your red light. Um, Anything along those lines is what I'm going to give you in the intuitive steps. The basics of that. Um, so that's Wednesday. Thursdays we end up when we have the daily social, but we also have a community led optimizing workouts. So we have a member that I end up and I call our community expert, or our resident expert, because he's very well versed. We have basically it's community led. So it's a space where you can go and talk about workouts. Maybe you're new to workouts, but yet that strength training is important. So we end up when we have that space where, okay, maybe you're also, the gym bro, right? That does a lot of heavy lifting, and you want that space to talk to others about, what you're doing. That is the space on Thursdays. And then that evening, we have the aromatherapy meeting, because what we breathe and what we apply to our skin is important. Our skin is our largest organ. But then we also have the sleep meeting, because so many people struggle with sleep. Fridays are kind of the packed day. You start Friday off
Yeah.
um, with your supercharge your mindset meeting.
Absolutely. And usually I have a theme. I'll tell you what, one day for supercharging your mindset, we talked about music, and we were literally coming up with music that gets us going and gives us that oomph. And let me tell you what, we were going back to like the 50s with some of the songs that we, and everybody was so like that. My meeting lasts how many hours? Like it's, yeah, it never lasts hours, but this meeting went on for hours. We had so much fun. But it's about getting your mind right, supercharging you, getting you ready to go into the weekend. You can handle it, you can do it. Let's supercharge it. But then it goes straight into
The social.
yeah.
See, so after you, we go into the social because again, that's a daily meeting. Some days there may be quite a few there, and other days there may just be a few of us, and that's okay, right? Same thing when if you go to coffee with or meet up with friends. Sometimes there's just a couple of you, and sometimes there's a group of you. So, and then I have a space provided for anyone that is struggling to kind of navigate the platform. It's not just here's the space, figure it out. I do end up and have a meeting geared towards that. So if anyone has questions, I am available to answer those questions, or one of the other coaches will be available during that time to end up and answer those type of questions. Technical support, basically finding your way. And then also a meal prep meeting, because sometimes if we fail to plan, we are planning to fail, right? Because we're grabbing something quick, or we're just simply, not having a structure. And so some people like to end up and do the meal prepping, set their week up, talk about different ways to end up and go about that too. So that's kind of the Monday through Friday. There is the socials also on the weekend, and any other, like I said, the community is here to be inclusive to all. So if there's other meetings that you would like to see, or other times, maybe like I said, you're in a different country and you want a meeting that is more, user friendly to you, I'm open to that as well.
Absolutely. But this was huge. Like I said, Becky and I've been working on this since she told me since she told me, and I laughed at her to begin with. And then I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then it was like, putting myself back when I started, and the flat out sheer desperation of trying to heal and not having a clue where to start and what to do. And then the meetings that, or the groups that I would find were costing, thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's like, I can't afford that. And it was out of reach for somebody like me when I first got started. And, you know, when you think of it back in that perspective, um, you know, if somebody has lost their job and it's, I don't have a job, I can't pay for a community, you can now because it
Yeah.
doesn't cost anything. Um, we want you there because even during stressful time, especially during stressful times, you need a community and you need that community support. One of the things that I'm working on that's going to be upcoming for and this is going to be a workshop that I'm going to be offering is, let me find the title of it. I just totally spaced the title. A new approach, setting intentions and discovering self. And that will have 5 meetings. That you can attend, and then there'll be work we can do to help you set those intentions and start discovering yourself, things that are holding you back and things like that. That's something I'm working on coming up here in the future. I know, Becky, you're working on several as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have the Lunar Bites that I have promised people will be the next program to come out before I end up and I work on others. I will get my Lunar Bites created, so it'll be embracing the moon phases and the changing of the seasons will be mine. And then since we didn't have her on tonight, Coach Sly has her 12-step keto program coming up in the next few months as well. So there are different programs that are coming up that will be available, or offers will be available. So definitely don't miss out on those. But also, like I said, I wanted to open the community, be able to provide um, that space to reconnect with people, because our mission of the community was built in order to help people reconnect with their natural health, to empower you with the knowledge and the support, but also to end up and stand beside you and walk with you, not over you, not talk down to you, but be there right by your side as you go through this. Many of us are navigating other parts of our life just like you are. So whether you're just starting out or you're ready to go all in, this is the space for you, and we open that door and welcome you to come join us. Again, two different ways to end up enjoying us. You can either go to bnccommunity.com, use the discount code free, or there is a link, and I will share the link in the chat again, for those that did not catch it the first time. Here is the link, and I can't talk and click buttons. And we hope to end up and see you there. If you are watching any of the replays, feel free to end up and put it in the comments, put it in the chat as far as any questions you have. Hopefully, I was able to answer all of your questions, give you a perspective of what the community is offering under the different tiers, whether it be the free or whether it be the paid. And I hope to see you in one of the meetings.
Absolutely. Good job, Becky. I am so glad this was laid on your heart. I love your passion, and I love the fact that you want to help and you would make the member that we lost. I know she's looking down and she is so proud of you. And so we're going to honor her and by helping you. So thank you guys so much for watching us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share our podcast with your friends, and also let them know. Come join the Beyond Nutrition Collective for free.
Absolutely. Have a